What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? Andrew Hooker made an album of electronica called Hook Anthems, and each one was a soundtrack for different mundane tasks of his life. He sold only one copy to a maths teacher, and it's also one of my life regrets that I didn't buy one too. The albino kid in school. He would take off running down the hallway with one hand straight out in front of him and yell, "White lightning." He was weird, but everyone liked him. Way to own it. Ate a sheep eye we were supposed to dissect in science class. Man oh man. Poured his juice on the table at lunch and suction cupped his mouth over it and inhaled it all like a Hoover when you put it directly onto a hard floor. He's a lawyer now. I'm not sure if he done this with anyone else, but he drew a picture of SpongeBob and Charizard brutally killing me and my friend and then willingly showed it to us. I couldn't help but laugh, but it was actually very well drawn. I liked that kid. She barked at people and tried to scratch behind her ears with her foot and sniffed people's butts at recess. She was 14. Oh my god, you had a dog girl? We had a cat girl. She would wear all black and had cat ears, cat gloves, cat collar, and even a fucking cat tail, and she would walk around the hallways meowing at people. If she didn't like you for whatever reason, because she never actually spoke to anyone, she would hiss at you and swat at you until you left, but sometimes she would fucking chase you. She had 2 friends if I recall correctly, and she would nuzzle into them and purr. She was the only person who acted like this, and she was that way my entire high school years, albeit a year younger than me. And I'm pretty sure she was in the special ed classes. I graduated in 2018. And I often wonder where she is now and if she's still meowing at strangers. Edit: I can't believe my most upvoted comment is about a cat girl. Edit 2: I am pretty sure I found her, just judging from my facial memory here, and she has a newborn as of this year. No cat ears on either of them. Which is good, I guess. A few days before a pep assembly, anonymously posted signs all over school that said the cock is coming. Teachers and school administrators were obviously concerned but clueless. Smuggled a live rooster into the assembly and partway through the opening speech at the assembly, whipped it out over his head as it went apeshit. Entire gym full of kids stood up and started chanting cock. 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 Was not seen at school for a few days after that. So, there was a guy at our school when I was a freshman that everyone called Wolfman who was weird in all the bad ways. He claimed to have superpowers. Teleportation, DBZ-like energy creation and whatnot. All the girls said he'd just stare at them if they had class with him. He hung around as freshmen and did his best to flirt with the girls. For an example of his flirting, he once told a girl that while astral projecting, he saw her face on Jupiter. Needless to say, girls stayed away from him. He graduated though, and his brother started at the school. Now, Wolfman wasn't a tall guy by any stretch of the imagination, maybe 5 feet at most. But his brother was a good foot shorter than him. He looked like he belonged in 3rd grade, he never got any taller. It didn't help that he always wore a child's Goosebumps jacket, that made people start calling him Goosebumps. He was even more convinced of his powers than his brother, but at least he was less sexually creepy, but that's all he had going for him. One memorable day I was in math class, and he started shaking violently. People ignored him, so he started flapping his arms around. Wondering if this was an actual seizure, the girl next to him put her hand on him and asked if he's okay. He growled back, "Take your hand off me, this power is too much to contain." She started yelling at him for faking a seizure and he went back to normal death stare forward, grumbling about his powers. Makes you wonder about their home life. Maybe their parents emotionally abandoned them or something and all they had were their imaginations and comics books and movies. Yep, my first thought when I read this post. One weird kid can be an outlier. 2 kids with similar delusions and constantly seeking attention from peers, seems like domestic abuse. There was this huge guy, tall and wide, in our classes. To support his impressive body, he ate a lot. He'd bring an entire roll of cookies, like 20 plus, and stack them on one side of his desk. Then he would take one bite out of cookie number 1, and put it to the other side of his desk. Then he would take one bite out of the next cookie and place that one on top on cookie number 1. He'd go through the whole stack, until all cookies were partially eaten and in a neat stack on the other side of his desk. Then would do it again, take one bite of the top cookie and place that in the original side of the desk, bite the next cookie etc. After maybe 15 minutes of biting and stacking, the whole lot was gone. Now we weren't even supposed to eat in class, but he always got away with it somehow. If I was a teacher and saw that, I too would not mess with him. As a high schooler, I think everyone just out of respect would have left him be. I'm from a small town. There was this weird kid who was a year older, but he was so weird that even the younger kids would pick on him. I didn't really know him, but I put him in the weird but harmless category. He graduates, and then decides to rob the local Taco Time with a shotgun. Well, it is a small town. The kids working at the Taco Time all know him, and pretty much everybody in the Taco Time also knows him. He got 2 years. Humped my desk for a solid minute while maintaining eye contact with me, and then said, "Thanks," and just walked away. I'm a guy, this was 15 years ago, on my first day at this new school, and I was just eating lunch at my desk, and this dude just walked up and went to town. No context, no introduction, nothing. Didn't even buy me dinner first. Just wham, bam, thank you desk. He was generally very weird and erratic. One day he extracted a huge slimy booger out of his nose, turned around to me and a friend and told us full of glee, "Guys, look." Then he stuffed it back into his nose. One day I asked him why he was so weird and he told me with the straightest face, "The jester's cap affords one many liberties." So I don't know if he was just weird or a secret genius, maybe a bit of both. These are words to fucking live by. We were getting DNA samples in biology. Most of the class used spit, but he tried to squeeze milk out of his nipples. Milk. After that didn't work out, he attempted to get pimple fluid from his pimple. When the teacher noticed and questioned, he answered, "I got some out just this morning." This was when we were 14 to 15.